Hi everyone, Bruno here. This video is highlighting the 2018 6 Hours of Utah NASA WERK endurance race held at the Utah Motorsports Campus. You can see here our machine used for the 6-hour race, the beautiful Super Trofeo Lamborghini Huracan. Friday morning consisted of some driver changes as well as getting on track throughout the day, practicing the new car, getting used to the track conditions. You can see here the beautiful Super Trofeo Lamborghini flying down the straightaway as we practiced. This is me and engineer Ty Isaac discussing some things about the car as we were practicing on Friday. Getting some overtaking done as well was a good way to get used to what was ahead for the 6 hours, which would have a lot of overtaking with multi-class racing. And now moving on into the beginning of the race, lights on, getting ready for the darkness that's to come. Derek Walthoff, my teammate, was in the car at this time, and I was patiently waiting for my turn at the beast. In came Derek, started our driver change, I got in the car. Great work by the Makes&Models crew and Harward Media to get out quickly in our pit stop. And now it was my time behind the wheel and ready to give it my all for our planned 2 stints. As I get on track here, just getting used to the visibility and everything. I got into the car, it was about 7:30 o'clock at night. Just getting used to obviously the new conditions. I was running on the tires that had been ran before, so just feeling where the limits were with the car, where everything was. Lap traffic, as you can see, and then another Super Trofeo car as well that we ran into throughout the race. And we come into the very famous section at Utah Motorsports Campus. We jump through the attitudes and making our way past the other Super Trofeo car. You can see here the multi-class racing will really come into effect as we get past the Boxer there. Into turn 1 now at the Utah Motorsports Campus. Lots of mistakes will be done, obviously, and you can see a car off at the entrance of turn 2. So it was a great experience to visually be aware of everything that was going on, focusing at the same time. Lap traffic ahead, cars that may have been going off, debris on the track, things like that. It was really exciting experience, and we get past a very cool car that's very competitive in all the endurance races NASA holds. We have a Porsche Sandwich here, Boxster up ahead, and a 996 Cup car as well. Just being careful here. Don't want to risk too much. It's a very, very long race, 6 hours in total, and you don't want to be the one that hurts the car or does anything too risky, because the ultimate goal is to just finish the race and last until the end. And just not taking those risks is not what we need. But you can see there's a wide variety of cars. BMW M4s, this is unrestricted Audi R8 that we were racing against, and being defensive with me as well. Go into turn 5, you can see traffic ended up helping me quite a bit. As we come down into turn 6, I got a good run, but once again he was being a little defensive, and I decided to wait. Got a wider line coming into 6 and on the power a lot sooner than the Audi. Got a nice drive out of the car, the V10 really pulling in the Super Trofeo car, and we were able to get him into Witchcraft before the attitudes. You can see again difficulty of the lap traffic as he holds up a very nice 997 Cup car. Come into what would be the stadium section, you could say, into Clubhouse, and wind up and release. Some interesting cars up ahead, EXR Challenge. Lots of cars from out of state as well competing in this race, which made lots of fun to see new cars, different competition, and having those different names up with us. It was a great challenge as well. So right about here, I would say about 45 minutes, close to an hour into my stint. We had planned for roughly 2.5 hours with me in the car, but we were able to do some really good laps here. I ended up right around this time was when I was setting the lap record for the event at the 6-hour race in Utah. and I beat it by about half a second, which was an Audi R8 GT3 a couple years ago. So it was an awesome feat, to be able to get the lap record while I was driving, and kind of dealing with the older tires and everything, still being able to drive the car on the edge was something that I was really excited about, and just trying to hold on as the tires continue to wear off, and knowing that I would have this set for the next 2 hours or so really made me have to conserve the tires a little bit more. So all in all, in my first endurance race, I learned a lot just by being able to learn the endurance factor of things, dealing with traffic, being the quickest class, and then just dealing with tire conservation as well as fuel, which came into effect at the end, just trying to save fuel to not have to make an extra pit stop.
So we can't touch this fuel hose.
And speaking of pit stops, Jason Harward, my great teammate, finished the race for us. You can see here there's a little, got a little orange, a little red. He's not blushing, we're on fire. As we came into the pits, for me to do my first of 2 scheduled pit stops, something happened on the refueling, and fire, pretty much everything caught on fire as I was in the car. You can see I'm jumping out now. It took me quite a while because I was just trying to understand what was going on. Just seeing the fire next to me and then deciding if I need to get out or not, which obviously I did. Everything was clear. The Makes&Models Harward Media team did a great job to get everything under control, as well as the fire marshals at the Utah Motorsports Campus, and we were able to get back out with no damage done. The only thing was, for the next 4 laps or so, I had a fire extinguisher dust pretty much all in my helmet, all in the car, so it was an interesting experience trying to get it out of my eyes as I was driving, and with the sun setting and getting dark now. You can see the headlights coming out, which I have a funny story about coming up soon, but the lights starting to come on and getting much darker, but yeah, as we move into the nighttime. So yeah, an interesting story, which I think cost us, well, I know cost us quite a bit of time, was the fact that at the beginning of the race we had those LED lights on the bottom of the car as extra lighting turned on, and when I was in the car, I was in the car from the transition of daytime into the night, so I didn't get to, you can see the team here, everyone relaxing, trying to relax as all the excitement's going on, but I forgot to pretty much turn on the main headlights, because when I got in the car I saw those LEDs on and I thought that all the lights were on pretty much, but just the day running lights were on, and not the actual headlights. So I did about 10 laps in what felt like pitch black, just trying to look for the reflective markers on the curbing to kind of guide me where I was going. So we were running a little bit off pace, just because I was really just trying to look where I was going, and first endurance race I've done, first time racing in the dark like this, so it was already a new experience, and then not having the lights was really interesting. But we thanks to my engineer, we got it all figured out, and I was able to get everything fixed, and that helps with traffic as well. You need headlights to flash them through and get out of the way, And then another interesting thing that happened as we were driving, obviously, was the fact that the Super Trofeo Huracan it has power steering on it, and after such a long amount of time driving the car, we began to struggle with some issues of the power steering getting too hot, and I would go through some corners. You can't quite see it, it's more of a feeling thing, and I was just expecting it after it happened the first time, but you would have the power steering kind of cut out of nowhere, and the wheel would just become extremely heavy in the middle of the corner, and it would lock up pretty much. The wheel would just be stuck and you couldn't move it, because the power steering was trying to work, but it was failing at the same time. So that was really interesting, trying to be focused and everything, and having that issue. But luckily Toby there was okay, he was relaxing, and see here I'm out of my car, or out of the car. Friends and supportive family members, everybody coming in to watch, and I really appreciate that. But yeah, it was you can see here these tires had been driven for about approximately 3 or 4.5 hours just about, so they were pretty done. But the great DH Pirelli compound, very hard compound. Made it to the end with my stint. So 3 hours in the car for me. It was half the race pretty much, but just I was able to conserve fuel and tires quite a bit, and we made it to the end after 3 hours. And little interesting throw of Mother Nature at the end was rain. Teammate Jason Howard in the car. I was commentating just how my stint went, or my stints, I should say, plural. How everything was going, how the team was feeling as we were closing in the final half hour, getting ready to finish. Jason Howard did a fantastic job in the final stages. You can see us now hugging in the rain. He brought the car home. He did about an hour and a half in the car and brought the car home one piece. Great job. He kept the lead. We had a four lap lead. And he was able to maintain it, and it was a great finish. You can see here that big high five. Everybody's happy with how everything went. Big celebration. We were the first Utah team, or team based out of Utah, to win the 6 Hours of Utah. So we beat the national competition, which is great. And is that champagne? I don't know. Is that champagne? I'm not sure. That's better not said, I guess. But yeah, just celebration, and really happy. It was a great achievement. It was great for me to be back in the car, and I can't thank Makes&Models and Harward Media enough for the opportunity to let me back in the car. And to have it with the win was even more special. And yeah, just relighting and rekindling the fire that is the passion I have for motorsports. And you can see we have I guess we're doing UFC, and I'm Williams Hemsworth now, and I don't know what's going on, but it was lots of fun. NASA did a great job to host the event. Lots of trophies, and great memories made. You can see Derek Walthoff on the left, Jason Howard in the middle, and me on the right-hand side there, all celebrating with our trophies after the win. You can see there a little bit of cosmetic damage from the fire, but she held on strong and looks still beautiful as always. And she has a long rest tonight after going 100% for 6 hours. It was a great job. And then the next day, after the win, we were lucky enough to get some media time, airtime on sports page Fox 13 with Rebecca
Bruno
Cade.
Carneiro, you are also the 2016 China Formula 4 champion.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Now, we had you in here about a year ago.
Yes.
What all has been going on? What races have you done? What traveling adventures have you been on in the past year?
Right, so well, I believe when I was in last year, I had been in Japan already, but I've been living in Japan, competing in the Japanese Formula 3 Championship.
Now, most people want to own a Lamborghini. You got to race one this last weekend at the Utah Enduro. What was that like?
It was great. I have good connections with Makes&Models. They're out in Layton, and I've been good friends with Derek, who's top there at Makes&Models, and I got a test in about end of May or so in one of the Lamborghini cars, the Super Trofeo Huracans, 620 horsepower. So it's a great car to drive, very fast, obviously. And I did pretty good in the test, and I was invited back to compete in this 6-hour endurance race. And it was a great experience. Obviously, driving a Lamborghini and then driving at night was a different experience, that's for sure.
Now, how is this race different than some of the other ones you've done? Maybe some that you were doing out in Japan?
Yeah, mostly like what I race in Formula 3 or Formula 4 even is sprint races. So they go for 30 minutes or so, half an hour. Whereas this is an endurance race, so you have a mix of class. I was in the quicker car, so you have some much slower cars that we have to flash by and everything. So you have to deal with traffic a lot and the endurance factor. So you kind of want to, instead of pushing all half hour, you want to save the tires a little bit, try to save gas, you know, keep the car in one piece for the whole 6 hours so you don't ruin everything right at once. So it's different experience and a different challenge.